But gearbox wise, I think we should leave it because we won't know if I mess with it and cause a problem. We don't know whether that's going to be the problem I've caused or was that like it before.
A working-class mechanic from Leicester just forced the CEO of one of the world's most exclusive car brands to film a response video. And now Netflix wants to put the whole story on the biggest streaming platform on Earth. This is not a fairy tale. This is Matt Armstrong versus Bugatti. And the stakes just got a whole lot higher. Let us rewind to where this all started. In October 2025, a crashed Bugatti Chiron Pur Sport showed up at a Copart salvage auction in Miami. It belonged to content creator Alex Gonzalez, better known online as FX Alex Gut. The car had been damaged during a stunt. The front end was crumpled, the airbags had deployed, and a massive list of parts needed replacing. Bugatti flew an expert in from Paris, declared the car a total write-off, gave it a salvage title, and quoted $1.7 million to repair it at the factory in France. Alex said no. Then Matt Armstrong said yes. Now here is where the story stops being just about a car. Bugatti did not simply decline to help. They locked the vehicle identification number. That means no Bugatti dealership anywhere in the world would sell parts for this specific car. The car was, in Bugatti's view, structurally compromised and impossible to safely rebuild outside their factory. Armstrong saw it differently. He flew to Miami, took on the project, and started filming every single step. The videos exploded. Millions of views, millions of questions. People watching a man in a garage in Miami trying to reassemble a $6 million hypercar with no official support, no official parts, and no blueprint from the manufacturer. Then Bugatti's CEO, Rimac, stepped in publicly. He posted a video on Instagram addressing the situation directly, pointing out that the gearbox housing had shattered and the monocoque had taken structural damage. He warned that shortcuts on a car this complex could have serious consequences. He also said that the parts prices Armstrong had quoted in his videos were not accurate and were in fact inflated. Armstrong fired back. He said he was not trying to start any beef. He just wanted a solution that did not cost $1.7 million. In a podcast appearance on Cars and Money, he compared his relationship with Rimac to a Messi and Ronaldo rivalry. Both sides respectful in person, but the internet turned it into a war. Armstrong put it clearly. Bugatti has to be the most expensive car. They have to go to the most wealthy customers, and they do not want you exposing them and taking them head-on. That tension is the engine driving this entire story, because Armstrong was not just fixing a car. He was pulling back the curtain on how these ultra-luxury brands operate. The $1.7 million repair quote, the locked vehicle identification number, the refusal to sell parts to an independent rebuilder. Every video added another layer, and the audience kept coming back because they wanted to know, can he actually pull it off? The answer slowly appears to be yes. Armstrong and his team rebuilt the radiators, fabricated a custom crash bar, and even sourced airbags from an Audi A3, believe it or not. When a pinched coolant pipe needed fixing and no Bugatti parts were available, the team used a section of rigid brake hose. Valvetronics stepped in to build a custom exhaust. Eventually, Bugatti lifted the parts blacklist and reduced their repair estimates. The front and rear halves of the Chiron were reunited and bolted back together. The team got it started. The sound alone, by all accounts, made the entire rebuild feel worth it. But there was one more twist. Armstrong accidentally squashed a fuel tank pressure sensor between sections of the body during reassembly. Because of the way the sensor was wedged, he could not rotate it to connect the necessary plug. Repeatedly undoing the titanium bolts risked splitting the chassis apart again. He eventually solved it by carefully cutting a small access point. One more example of the kind of improvisation that has defined this entire project from day one. Now let us talk about the Netflix angle, because this is where the story becomes something much bigger than a YouTube series. Reports in automotive media indicate that Netflix has been in conversations with Armstrong about a content deal. The reported figure circulating is $30 million. Netflix reportedly wants to globally stream the entire rebuild saga. Armstrong's channel has not officially commented on the deal. But think about what that number represents. Armstrong currently sits at close to 7 million subscribers on YouTube and generates somewhere between $28,000 and $39,000 per month from the platform alone. A $30 million streaming deal would be transformational, not just for Armstrong personally, but for what it signals about the value of authentic, long-form creator storytelling in the automotive space. And this story is landing at an extraordinary moment in automotive history. On the 31st of July 2026, just 1 month from today, the European Union's Right to Repair Directive comes into full force across all member states. The law requires manufacturers to make spare parts available at reasonable prices, to support independent repairs, and to stop using hardware or software techniques that block consumers from fixing products they own. Armstrong's battle with Bugatti has become the single most high-profile, real-world example of exactly what this legislation is designed to address. He spent over a year trying to repair a product he legally owned, blocked at every turn by a manufacturer, citing brand image and safety concerns. Now, to be fair, Bugatti's safety argument is not entirely without merit. This is a car with a quad-turbocharged 8-liter W16 engine, producing over 1,500 horsepower, a carbon fiber monocoque chassis, and a top speed approaching 500 kilometers per hour. The consequences of a structural failure at those speeds are not survivable. Rimac was not wrong to raise that point. But the conversation about who gets to decide whether a privately owned car can be repaired, the manufacturer or the owner, is now a legal question, not just a moral one. And Armstrong's story has given that debate a human face that no policy document ever could. If the Netflix deal goes through, this becomes the automotive story of the decade on the world's biggest streaming platform. A man from Leicester with a passion for cars and a camera crew takes on a billion-dollar luxury brand, forces the CEO to respond publicly, survives a parts blacklist, improvises his way through one of the most complex rebuilds ever attempted on YouTube, and wins. That is not just content. That is a documentary that writes itself. The bigger question hanging over all of this is what happens next for Armstrong. Does a Netflix deal change who he is? Does it change the raw, unfiltered, garage-level authenticity that made people fall in love with the channel in the first place? Or does a bigger platform simply mean a bigger audience watching the same honest storytelling that got him here? Those are questions only Armstrong can answer. But one thing is certain. Bugatti, Netflix, and 7 million subscribers are all watching very closely. So what do you think? Should Matt Armstrong take the Netflix deal, or would it change everything about what makes his channel special? Drop your take in the comments below. And if you found this story as wild as we did, hit that like button and subscribe. Because when the next chapter of this saga drops, you are going to want to be here for it.